The hostage shadows of Moscow. The streets of Moscow in the 1990s are a battleground, where the air reeks of gunpowder and despair, and the city's pulse beats with the rhythm of fear. Once a place where young cadets strolled Tverskaya Street, sipping coffee under neon signs, Moscow has become a war zone, its nights shattered by the screams of hostages and the roar of gunfire. The KGB, now reorganized into specialized units like the ROPP, fights a losing battle against a rising tide of organized crime, where bandits in tracksuits wield stolen pistols, and every day brings a new crisis. A commercial on Tverskaya Street is beaten and nearly strangled, his life hanging by a thread as the KGB races to save him. A 2-year-old girl is abducted, her cries haunting the detectives who hunt her captors. In a Gubkin Academy dorm, a vengeful student named Iskander holds 2 girls at knife point, his demands as unhinged as his rage, forcing a deadly standoff that tests the limits of courage and sanity. 5 chapters plunge into this chilling saga of Moscow's darkest days, from desperate abductions to brutal shootouts, each one a race against time to save the innocent, and sometimes, to bury the dead. Detectives like Ponomarenko, a master negotiator with a surgeon's precision, navigate a city where even a kitten sale can turn into a hostage nightmare, and a grocery store robbery on Tverskaya embankment ends in a storm of bullets. What drives these bandits to such savagery? And can Moscow ever reclaim the peace its citizens once knew, or will the shadows of the 1990s haunt its streets forever? The city that forgot peace. In the neon glow of 1990s Moscow, a young cadet once dreamed of a simple life on Tverskaya Street, but what turned those dreams into a nightmare of blood and fear? The neon signs of Tverskaya Street flicker like dying stars in the Moscow twilight, casting a sickly glow over the cracked pavement on a chilly evening in 1995. The air smells of burnt bread and exhaust, a bitter tang that clings to the patched coats of passers-by, their faces etched with the exhaustion of a city that's forgotten how to breathe. Once, this street was a haven for a young cadet named Alexei Ivanov, a place where he'd stroll with friends or a girl on his arm, sipping coffee in quaint cafes like Sever or Cosmos, the laughter of youth drowning out the hum of the city. Back then, he didn't need a gun to feel safe, the weight of his dreams enough to carry him through the nights. But those days are a distant memory, a ghost of a Moscow that no longer exists, replaced by a war zone where every shadow hides a threat, and every day brings a new hostage crisis that shatters lives. What happened to this city? Alexei wonders, his breath clouding in the frigid air as he drives down Tverskaya, his Makarov pistol a heavy burden on his hip. And what will it take to bring it back? A city swallowed by shadows. Moscow in 1995 is a city swallowed by shadows, its streets a battleground where the Soviet Union's collapse has unleashed a tidal wave of crime. The air bites with the chill of early spring, the ground slick with melted snow, and the city smells of decay, both literal and moral. The 1990s have rewritten Moscow's rules, turning it into a place where organized crime moves faster than the law, where bandits in tracksuits drive foreign cars stolen from the West, and where the KGB, now reorganized into units like the ROPP, Regional Organized Crime Department, is always one step behind. First came the criminals, armed with smuggled guns and a hunger for power, then came the ROPP, their fleet of outdated Zigulis struggling to keep pace with the bandits' BMWs. First the bandits armed themselves with Makarovs and knives, then the ROPP followed, their holsters finally filled, but always too late. By 1995, Russia will record 32,000 murders, but in Moscow, the body count is just one part of the terror. Hostage crises have become a daily plague, each one a knife in the city's heart. Alexei Ivanov, now a seasoned detective in the ROPP's hostage rescue unit, sits in a battered Volga, the engine idling as he waits for the next call, the air inside the car heavy with the scent of cigarette smoke and sweat. His unit is a fortress of tension, their office just off Tverskaya a cluttered mess of radios, maps, and files on known criminals, the walls peeling with the damp of the Moskva River. Every shift, 24 hours on, 3 days off, brings 1 or 2 hostage crises, sometimes more, each one a race against time where the stakes are lives, not just leads. How did it come to this? Alexei wonders, his fingers drumming on the steering wheel, the neon glow of Tverskaya casting shadows across his face. And how many more will we lose before it ends? The Tverskaya terror. The call comes at 9:47 p.m., a crackle on the radio that cuts through the silence like a gunshot, the dispatcher's voice tight with urgency. Hostage situation, Tverskaya Street, commercial office, 2 armed suspects, 1 victim. Alexei's heart pounds, his hands steady as he shifts the Volga into gear, the tires screeching as he races toward the scene, the city blurring past in a haze of neon and snow. The office is a small, nondescript space above a cafe, its windows dark, the air outside thick with the scent of burnt coffee and exhaust. Inside, a commercial named Dmitry Volodin, 38, is fighting for his life, his face bloodied, his hands bound with rope as 2 bandits in tracksuits, the uniform of Moscow's new criminal class, loom over him, their voices a low growl of threats. "Money, now, or you're dead," one snarls, his Makarov pistol glinting in the dim light, the other tightening the rope around Dmitry's neck, his gasps a desperate plea for air. Dmitry had come to the ROPP days earlier, his voice trembling as he reported the threats. He owed money, or someone owed him, the details murky in the haze of Moscow's black market deals. Alexei's team had acted fast, installing hidden cameras in Dmitry's office and home, their lenses trained on every move, their wiretaps capturing every whisper. The cameras at his home catch the moment the bandits arrive, their tracksuits a garish green, their faces hard with intent as they storm in, expecting compliance. But Dmitry, emboldened by the ROPP's protection, tries to stall, his voice steady as he asks for more time, his eyes darting to the hidden camera he knows is watching. Does he know how close he is to death? The agents wonder, their monitors flickering with the grainy feed, their radios crackling as they mobilize. And will we reach him in time? The bandits aren't in the mood to negotiate, their patience thin, their orders clear: get the money, or make an example. The beating begins, fists slamming into Dmitry's face, blood staining the carpet, his gasps turning to whimpers as the rope tightens, his vision fading to black. The ROPP team storms the building, their boots pounding up the stairs, their shouts echoing through the narrow hallway as they breach the door, their Makarovs drawn, their voices a roar of commands: drop the weapon. Now. The bandits freeze, the rope slipping from their hands as Dmitry collapses, his breath ragged, his face a mask of blood and terror. The agents tackle the suspects, their tracksuits tearing as they're cuffed, their snarls drowned by the sound of Dmitry's labored breathing. Will he survive the night? Alexei wonders, his hands steady as he cuts the rope, the air thick with the scent of blood and fear. And what happens when the next call comes? The child in the shadows. The relief of saving Dmitry is short-lived, a fleeting victory in a war that shows no mercy. Days later, another call shatters the fragile calm, the dispatcher's voice a knife in the silence: child abduction, 2-year-old girl, suspected hostage situation. The details are sparse, the air at the ROPP office thick with the scent of stale coffee and dread as Alexei and his team piece together the fragments. The girl's father, a commercial who'd gone into hiding after a deal gone wrong, had left his family vulnerable, a mistake that cost him dearly. The bandits, their tracksuits a garish blue this time, stormed the family's apartment, their Makarovs drawn, their voices a snarl of threats as they snatched the child, her cries for her mother echoing through the night. Pay, or she dies, they warned, their message a chilling promise, her mother's screams a haunting echo as they fled into the Moscow night. The ROPP team mobilizes, their radios crackling with urgency, their maps marking known criminal hideouts, but the city is a labyrinth, its shadows hiding monsters at every turn. The girl's cries haunt Alexei, her voice a ghost in his mind as he drives through the snowy streets, the neon signs of Tverskaya casting a sickly glow over the scene. Where is she? He wonders, his hands trembling on the wheel, the air thick with the scent of exhaust and fear. And what will they do to her if we're too late? The search stretches into the night, the city a maze of secrets that refuse to yield, each dead end a knife in the heart, each moment a ticking bomb. The next chapter will take us deeper into Moscow's darkness, to a Gubkin Academy dorm where a vengeful student holds two girls at knife point, his unhinged demands a ticking clock that could end in blood. Chapter 2, The Dorm of Desks and Desks. In a Gubkin Academy dorm, a student named Iskander turned a room into a fortress of rage. But what drove him to hold two girls at knife point, and would the KGB's desperate plan save them from his blade? The Gubkin Academy dorm on Butlerova Street looms like a Soviet relic in the Moscow twilight, its concrete facade cracked and peeling, the air thick with the scent of damp plaster and cheap cigarettes on a frigid evening in 1995. Inside room 312, a second-year student named Iskander has turned a cramped student space into a fortress of rage, the door barricaded with desks and chairs, their wooden frames groaning under the weight of his desperation. Two girls, first-year students, their names whispered as Lena and Katya, sit huddled in the corner, their wrists bound with electrical cord, their eyes wide with terror as Iskander paces, a kitchen knife in each hand, the blades glinting in the dim light of a flickering bulb. His voice is a snarl, his demands a scream into the void, "Bring me the men who raped my fiancée, or they die." The air smells of sweat and fear, the walls closing in as the clock ticks, each second a heartbeat closer to bloodshed. What drove Iskander to this madness? The ROPP agents wonder, their radios crackling outside the dorm, their breaths clouding in the frigid air. And how do you stop a man who has nothing left to lose? A city on the brink. Moscow in 1995 is a city on the brink, its streets a battleground where the Soviet Union's collapse has unleashed a wave of violence that shows no mercy. The air bites with the chill of early spring, the ground slick with melted snow, and the city smells of decay, coal smoke, exhaust, and the faint metallic tang of blood that lingers in the shadows. The 1990s have turned Moscow into a war zone, where organized crime outpaces the law, bandits in tracksuits wield smuggled Makarovs, and the ROPP, Regional Organized Crime Department, fights a losing battle against a tide of terror. Hostage crises have become a daily plague, each one a knife in the city's heart, and the ROPP's hostage rescue unit, led by detectives like Alexei Ivanov, operates on a razor's edge, their shifts a grueling 24 hours on, 3 days off, each day bringing one or two crises, sometimes more. The memory of a 2-year-old girl abducted days earlier haunts Alexei, her cries a ghost in his mind as he races to Butlerova Street, the neon glow of Tverskaya fading in his rear-view mirror. How many more will we lose? He wonders, his hands trembling on the wheel, the air thick with the scent of exhaust and dread. And what happens when the clock runs out? The call came at 6:32 p.m., a frantic report from the dorm's administrator, her voice trembling as she described the scene. Iskander, a quiet student with a history of mental health issues, had snapped, his rage fueled by a 2-year-old grievance. His fiancée's alleged rape, the perpetrators never caught, the militia's failure a wound that festered into madness. His demands are as unhinged as they are impossible, bring the rapists to him, or the girls die. The ROPP team arrives in a flurry of Volgas and unmarked vans, their radios crackling with urgency, their Makarovs drawn as they cordon off the building, the air outside sharp with the scent of snow and gun oil. The dorm is a fortress of concrete, its smooth walls offering no balconies or ledges for a stealth approach, a challenge that forces the team to think fast, or risk everything. The negotiation gambit. Alexei takes point, his voice steady as he speaks through a megaphone, the air thick with tension as his words echo off the concrete. Iskander, this is the ROPP. Let's talk. We can help you. But Iskander's response is a scream, his voice raw with rage as he refuses to engage, his demands shifting to an impossible request, bring me a mullah. The air smells of desperation, the crowd of students gathered outside whispering in fear, their faces pale as they watch the windows of room 312, the flickering light a beacon of terror. Alexei's team scrambles, their radios crackling as they locate an imam from Moscow's Sobornaya Mosque, a man named Imam Khalil, who arrives within 20 minutes, his robes a stark contrast to the ROPP's tactical gear, his face calm but his eyes sharp with concern. What can a holy man do against a madman's blade? Alexei wonders, his hands trembling as he hands the megaphone to Khalil, the air thick with the scent of snow and dread. And how long can we wait before it's too late? Khalil's voice is a soothing balm, his words a prayer in the darkness as he speaks to Iskander through the door, his tone calm, his faith a shield against the storm within. But Iskander's rage is a wildfire, his screams growing more unhinged as he demands water, then cigarettes, each request a test of the ROPP's patience, each moment a ticking bomb. The team considers slipping sedatives into the water, a desperate plan to subdue him, but Volkov, listening from the command van, vetoes it. He's been in a psych ward. We don't know how he'll react, and he might test it on the girls. The air inside the van smells of sweat and stale coffee, the monitors flickering with grainy footage from a camera slipped through a vent, capturing one girl, Lena, her face pale, her eyes wide with shock, her body trembling but silent. Katia is out of sight, hidden in the shadows, her fate a question mark that haunts the team. Is she still alive? Alexei wonders, his heart pounding as he watches the feed, the air thick with dread. And what happens if we're wrong? The storm of room 312. 4 hours drag on, the negotiations a grueling dance of patience and rage, Iskander's screams growing more erratic, his knife flashing as he rants, his mind unraveling with each passing minute. The Imam's words fall on deaf ears, Iskander's demands shifting to incoherent threats, his sanity slipping like sand through fingers. The ROPP team knows they can't wait for darkness, bandits prefer the night, when escape is easier, but the girls' lives hang by a thread. Volkov makes the call, we storm now. The building's smooth walls force a desperate plan, the team uses alpine gear for the first time, scaling the exterior to reach the third-floor window, their ropes creaking, their breaths clouding in the frigid air as they ascend, the snow falling softly around them. At the door, a distraction, agents pound with a sledgehammer, breaking the lock, their shouts echoing as they fire blanks, the noise a deafening roar designed to pull Iskander's focus. The plan works, Iskander turns to the door, his knives raised, his screams a raw howl as he braces for an attack that never comes from that side. At the window, Alexei and his team breach silently, their boots hitting the floor with a thud, their Makarovs drawn as they move like shadows, the air inside thick with the scent of sweat and fear. Iskander spins, his knives flashing, but he's too late, one swing, a desperate lunge, and the team opens fire, their bullets striking true, his body crumpling to the floor, blood pooling on the cracked linoleum, his knives clattering uselessly beside him. Clear. Alexei shouts, his voice raw as he rushes to the girls, their wrists unbound, their faces pale but alive, their breaths ragged as they're pulled to safety. Did we get here in time? He wonders, his hands trembling as he helps Lena stand, the air thick with the scent of blood and gunpowder. And what scars will they carry from this night? The aftermath of blood. The girls are rushed to the hospital, their bodies unharmed but their minds shattered, their eyes haunted as they're loaded into ambulances, the snow falling softly around them. Iskander, his body a bloody heap, is taken to the same hospital, his wounds severe, a grazing shot to the head, a bullet through his chest, but he clings to life, his mutters incoherent as he's wheeled away, his fate a question mark in the chaos. The ROPP team stands in the dorm hallway, their faces grim, the air thick with the scent of gunpowder and regret as they watch the ambulances disappear into the night. Will he survive to face justice? Alexei wonders, his hands still trembling, the weight of the night a burden he can't shake. And how many more Iskanders are out there, waiting to strike? The dorm is sealed, the students evacuated, their whispers a chorus of fear as they recount the screams, the gunfire, the blood that stained room 312. Alexei drives back to the ROPP office, the neon glow of Tverskaya a distant memory as he reflects on the night, the city's scars a mirror to his own. But the war isn't over. Another call waits, a kitten sale turned hostage crisis, where a drug-addicted bandit named Gubkin will test the team's limits in a new battle of wits and wills. What drives these men to such madness? Alexei wonders, the air thick with the scent of exhaust and dread as he prepares for the next fight. And how much more can Moscow take before it breaks? Chapter 3, The Kitten Sale Conspiracy. In a quiet Moscow apartment, a kitten sale turned into a nightmare of violence. but what secret drove a drug-addicted bandit to hold a woman hostage, and would the ROPP's desperate gambles save her life? The Moscow evening is a shroud of frost on a chilly spring night in 1995, the air sharp with the scent of coal smoke and wet pavement as snow dusts the cracked streets of a residential block near Tverskaya embankment. Inside a modest apartment on the 5th floor, the faint scent of lavender and cat litter lingers, a deceptive calm shattered by the glint of a homemade revolver in the hands of a bandit named Gubkin. The living room, once a cozy haven with faded wallpaper and a threadbare sofa, is now a prison, its door locked, its windows sealed, and its occupant, Marina Petrova, a 32-year-old mother and pet seller, bound with rope, her wrists raw, her eyes wide with terror as Gubkin paces, his tracksuit a garish green, his hands trembling with the shakes of withdrawal. "Give me the money, or you're dead," he snarls, his voice raw with desperation, his revolver flashing as he demands cash that Marina doesn't have. The kitten sale ad in the newspaper, a simple offer of pedigree cats, lured Gubkin and his two accomplices, a man and a woman, expecting a fortune, but now Marina's life hangs by a thread, her cries muffled by a gag as the bandits' plan unravels. What drove Gubkin to this madness? The ROPP agents wonder, their radios crackling outside the apartment, the snow falling softly around them. And how do you save a life from a man who's already lost his own? A city under siege. Moscow in 1995 is a city under siege, its streets a battleground where the Soviet Union's collapse has unleashed a wave of violence that knows no bounds. The air bites with the chill of early spring, the ground slick with melted snow, and the city smells of decay, exhaust, coal smoke, and the faint metallic tang of fear that lingers in every shadow. The 1990s have turned Moscow into a war zone, where organized crime outpaces the law, bandits in tracksuits wield smuggled weapons, and the ROPP, Regional Organized Crime Department, fights a relentless battle against a tide of terror. Hostage crises have become a daily plague, each one a dagger in the city's heart, and the ROPP's hostage rescue unit operates on a razor's edge, their shifts a grueling 24 hours on, 3 days off, each day bringing new horrors. Detective Alexei Ivanov, a former cadet turned hardened operative, still feels the weight of the Gubkin Academy standoff days earlier, where a student named Iskander held 2 girls at knife point, his unhinged rage ending in a storm of bullets. How many more will we lose? Alexei wonders, his hands steady as he adjusts his Makarov, the air thick with the scent of gun oil and dread. And what happens when the next call comes? The call comes at 8:14 p.m. A frantic report from Marina's neighbors, their voices trembling as they describe the screams, the gunshot, the chaos unfolding in the apartment above. Marina and her husband, Sergei, had placed an ad in the newspaper to sell pedigree kittens, hoping for a small profit to help with bills, but the buyers, Gubkin and his 2 accomplices, saw an opportunity for more. Expecting a fortune from the sale of expensive cats, they stormed the apartment, their homemade revolver drawn, their voices a snarl of threats as they demanded cash. Sergei resisted, his defiance earning him a bullet in the chest, his body shoved into the hallway as the bandits fled with Marina as their hostage, leaving behind a trail of blood and terror. What did they hope to gain? Alexei wonders, his Volga screeching to a stop outside the building, the snow falling softly around him. And how do you negotiate with a man who's already on the edge? Ponomarenko's dance with madness. The ROPP team arrives in a flurry of Volgas and unmarked vans, their radios crackling with urgency, their Makarovs drawn as they cordon off the building, the air outside sharp with the scent of snow and tension. The neighbors, huddled in the stairwell, whisper in fear, their faces pale as they recount the screams, the gunshot, the blood that stained the hallway. Alexei's team sets up a perimeter, their command post a cramped van parked across the street, the air inside thick with the scent of sweat and stale coffee as they establish contact with the apartment, their phone line a lifeline to a nightmare. Lieutenant Colonel Ponomarenko, a master negotiator with a surgeon's precision, takes the lead, his voice a calm anchor in the storm as he dials the apartment, the ring echoing through the tense silence like a heartbeat. "Gubkin, this is Ponomarenko from the ROPP," he says, his tone steady, his words measured. "Let's talk. We can work this out." But Gubin's response is a snarl, his voice raw with the shakes of withdrawal, his mind clouded by the agony of his addiction. "I need morphine, 10 cc's, now." Or she dies. The air smells of desperation, Marina's muffled sobs a haunting backdrop as Gubin paces, his revolver flashing, his demands a ticking bomb that threatens to explode. Ponomarenko's team scrambles, their radios crackling as they search Moscow for the morphine, 10 cc's, a massive dose, enough to sedate a hospital ward, but the city's resources are stretched thin, the supply finally located at an oncology clinic across town. Will it be enough to save her? Alexei wonders, his hands trembling as he watches the monitor, the grainy feed from a hidden camera showing Marina's bound form, her eyes wide with terror. And what happens if Gubin's demands shift again? The negotiations drag on, a grueling dance of patience and rage, Gubin's shakes growing worse, his screams more erratic as he demands the morphine, his revolver pressed to Marina's temple, her sobs a knife in the team's heart. Ponomarenko's voice is a lifeline, his words a blend of calm and steel as he challenges Gubin, "You're a man, Gubin. Keep your word. Let the women go, and we'll get you the morphine." The first dose arrives, 10 cc's in a small packet, lowered through the window on a rope from the roof, a sniper positioned on the opposite building, his scope trained on the glass, ready to take the shot if Gubin shows himself. But Gubin is cunning, his withdrawal-fueled paranoia making him unpredictable. He forces Marina to retrieve the packet, her bound hands trembling as she pulls it in, her face a mask of terror as Gubin snatches it, his syringe ready, his shakes easing as the drug hits his veins. "The women first." Ponomarenko demands, his voice firm, and Gubin, his mind clouded by the high, releases his two accomplices, his wife and her friend, their faces pale as they stumble out, their tracksuits torn, their eyes haunted as they're taken into custody. Where is Marina? Alexei wonders, his heart pounding as the camera feed shows her still bound, Gubin's revolver flashing. And what happens when the high wears off? The storm on the edge. Gubin's relief is short-lived, his withdrawal returning with a vengeance, his screams growing more unhinged as he demands another 5 cc's of morphine, his revolver pressed to Marina's throat, her sobs a desperate plea for life. Ponomarenko knows negotiations won't hold, Gubin's addiction makes him a ticking bomb, his nerves fraying with each passing minute, his finger twitching on the trigger. The team prepares to storm, their plan a mirror of the Gubkin Academy operation, a distraction at the door, a breach through the window, and a sniper on the roof as a last resort. The morphine is sent, another packet lowered on a rope, but Gubin forces Marina to retrieve it again, her bound form a shield against the sniper's scope, her eyes pleading as she pulls it in. Will she survive this nightmare? Alexei wonders, his hands steady as he adjusts his gear, the air thick with the scent of gunpowder and dread. And what happens if we're too late? The storm begins with a roar, the door team slamming a battering ram against the lock, their shouts echoing as they fire blanks, the noise a deafening distraction as the window team breaches, their alpine gear creaking as they swing in, their boots hitting the floor with a thud. Gubin spins, his revolver flashing, but the team is faster, their Makarovs drawn, their voices a roar of commands, "Drop it. Now." A single shot rings out, Gubin's body crumpling to the floor, his revolver clattering uselessly, blood pooling on the faded carpet as Marina's sobs fill the air, her wrists unbound, her body trembling but alive. Did we do enough? Alexei wonders, his hands shaking as he helps her stand, the air thick with the scent of blood and relief. And what new horror waits on the horizon? The next chapter will take us to Tverskaya Embankment, where a grocery store robbery turns into a deadly hostage crisis, a standoff that ends in a storm of bullets, and a mother's grief that will haunt Moscow forever. Chapter 4, The Embankment of Echoes. On Tverskaya Embankment, a grocery store robbery turned into a bloodbath, but what secret drove 3 bandits to take hostages, and would the ROPP's final storm save the innocent or bury them in grief? The Tverskaya Embankment glows under a pale moon on a frigid April night in 1995, the Moskva River's icy waters reflecting the neon signs of Moscow's skyline, the air sharp with the scent of wet pavement and exhaust. At the edge of the embankment, a small grocery store with a flickering "products" sign stands as a beacon of normalcy, its shelves stocked with canned goods and stale bread, its exchange counter a lifeline for locals trading rubles for dollars in the chaos of the 1990s. But tonight, normalcy shatters like glass under gunfire, the store's dim interior a battlefield where 3 armed bandits storm in, their tracksuits a garish red, their Makarovs drawn, their voices a snarl of threats, money, now, or you're all dead. 2 employees, Olga, 29, and Svetlana, 34, freeze behind the counter, their hands trembling as they're bound with duct tape, their mouths and eyes sealed, one shackled to a chair with handcuffs, their muffled sobs a haunting echo in the night. A cashier, Irina, slips out the back door, her heart pounding as she dials 02, her voice a whisper of terror, they're killing us. What drove these bandits to such savagery? The ROPP agents wonder, their radios crackling as they race to the scene, the snow falling softly around them. And how many will die before the night is over? A city bleeding in the dark. Moscow in April 1995 is a city bleeding in the dark, its streets a labyrinth where the Soviet Union's collapse has unleashed a tidal wave of violence that knows no mercy. The air bites with the chill of spring, the ground slick with melted snow, and the city smells of decay, coal smoke, exhaust, and the faint metallic tang of blood that lingers in every shadow. The 1990s have turned Moscow into a war zone, where organized crime outpaces the law, bandits in tracksuits wield smuggled weapons, and the ROPP, Regional Organized Crime Department, fights a relentless battle against a plague of terror. Hostage crises have become a daily nightmare, each one a dagger in the city's heart, and the ROPP's hostage rescue unit operates on a knife's edge, their shifts a grueling 24 hours on, 3 days off, each day bringing new horrors. Detective Alexei Ivanov still feels the weight of the kitten sale crisis days earlier, where a drug-addicted bandit named Gubkin held a woman hostage, his withdrawal-fueled rage ending in a storm of bullets. How much more can we take? Alexei wonders, his Volga screeching to a stop outside the store, the neon glow of the embankment casting shadows across his face. And who will we lose tonight? The call came at 11:19 p.m., Irina's panicked report a knife in the silence, 3 armed men, Tverskaya embankment, grocery store, hostages taken. The bandits had planned a quick hit on the exchange counter, expecting a haul of dollars, but Irina's escape and her call to 02 triggered a rapid response, a militia patrol arriving within 3 minutes, their sirens a wail in the night as they blockaded the store. The bandits, caught off guard, opened fire, a single shot ringing out, the bullet striking a young sergeant named Mikhail, his body crumpling to the pavement, his blood staining the snow as he's rushed to a hospital, his life slipping away with each fading heartbeat. Will he survive the night? The patrol officers wonder, their radios crackling with urgency as they call for backup. And what happens when the ROPP arrives? Ponomarenko's last stand. The ROPP team storms onto the scene in a flurry of Volgas and unmarked vans, their radios crackling with urgency, their Makarovs drawn as they cordon off the store, the air outside sharp with the scent of snow and gunpowder. A crowd of onlookers gathers, their whispers a chorus of fear, their faces pale as they watch the store's windows, the flickering light inside a beacon of terror. Lieutenant Colonel Ponomarenko, a master negotiator with a surgeon's precision, takes the lead, his voice a calm anchor in the storm as he approaches the door, his megaphone crackling. This is Ponomarenko from the ROPP. Let's talk. We can end this without more blood. But the bandits' response is a gunshot through the door, the bullet whizzing past Ponomarenko's head, splintering the wood, their voices a snarl of defiance, back off, or they die. The air smells of desperation, Olga and Svetlana's muffled sobs a haunting backdrop as the bandits pace, their Makarovs flashing, their demands a ticking bomb, money, a Benson truck to douse the area in fuel, a threat to burn everything if their escape isn't guaranteed. What are they hiding? Alexei wonders, his hands trembling as he adjusts his gear, the air thick with the scent of fear and gun oil. And how do you negotiate with men who've already killed? Ponomarenko persists, his voice a blend of calm and steel as he passes cigarettes through a crack in the door, a small gesture to build trust, the bandits' hands trembling as they accept, their masks slipping off, their faces revealed, young, barely out of their teens, students turned killers, their eyes hollow with desperation. A car is found nearby, its engine running, documents inside identifying one of the bandits, Sergei Volkov, 22, a Gubkin Academy student, his parents summoned in a desperate bid to break the standoff. The parents arrive, their faces pale, their voices trembling as they plead through the door, their words a mix of love and anguish. "Sergei, please, stop this." But the plea falls on deaf ears, the bandits' demands growing more erratic, their plan to wait for darkness a ticking clock that threatens to explode. Will they listen to reason? Ponomarenko wonders, his hand steady as he passes another cigarette, the air thick with the scent of smoke and dread. Or will this end in fire? The storm of bullets. The bandits' threat to douse the area in gasoline forces Ponomarenko's hand, the ROPP team preparing for a storm as the crowd grows, their whispers a chorus of fear, the snow falling softly around them. A BTR, armored personnel carrier, rumbles onto the scene, its engine a growl in the night, its steel frame a battering ram ready to breach the store's defenses. Snipers take position on nearby rooftops, their scopes trained on the windows, their breaths clouding in the frigid air as they wait for a clear shot. Ponomarenko's negotiations falter, the bandits' demands shifting to chaos, their voices a snarl of threats as they sense the net closing in. A mysterious call comes to the militia, a voice claiming a bomb in a nearby kindergarten if the bandits aren't released, forcing a frantic search of 7 kindergartens, one evacuated in a panic, the city's nerves fraying with each passing minute. Who called with that threat? Alexei wonders, his heart pounding as the team clears the last kindergarten, the air thick with the scent of snow and dread. And how much time do we have left? The storm begins with a roar, the distraction team at the front firing blanks, their shouts echoing as they slam the door, while the BTR breaches the rear entrance, its steel frame ripping through the wall, the debris flying as the team storms in, their Makarovs drawn, their voices a roar of commands, "Drop your weapons. Now." The bandits fire back, their bullets wild, one striking the wall as Olga and Svetlana scream, their bound forms a shield as the team advances. 2 bandits fall in a hail of gunfire, their bodies crumpling to the floor, blood pooling on the cracked linoleum, while the third, Sergei Volkov, surrenders, his Makarov clattering as he's cuffed, his face pale, his eyes hollow with defeat. Olga and Svetlana are freed, one dragged out still handcuffed to a chair, their sobs a desperate relief as they're rushed to safety, their bodies unharmed but their minds shattered. Did we save them in time? Alexei wonders, his hands trembling as he helps Olga stand, the air thick with the scent of blood and gunpowder. And what scars will they carry from this night? A mother's grief. The aftermath is a storm of chaos, the crowd swelling with onlookers, their whispers a chorus of shock as ambulances, fire trucks, and television crews descend, the snow falling softly around them. Sergei's mother, her face pale, her hands trembling, collapses in grief, her sobs a haunting echo as she begs forgiveness from Olga and Svetlana, her son's death a wound she'll never heal. Alexei watches, his face grim, the air thick with the scent of snow and regret as he reflects on the night, the city's scars a mirror to his own. The third bandit, unharmed, is a cold-blooded opportunist, his confession a litany of blame, he points to his dead accomplices, claiming they killed the sergeant, his voice a chilling monotone that speaks of a deeper darkness. What drives a man to such coldness? Alexei wonders, his hands steady as he cuffs the suspect, the weight of the night a burden he can't shake. And how many more will fall before this war ends? The next chapter will take us to a final crisis, a known figure's wife held hostage, a storm that tests the ROPP's limits, and a reflection on Moscow's blood-soaked 1990s, where the echoes of violence refuse to fade. Chapter 5, The Final Storm and the City's Scars. In a Moscow penthouse, a known figure's wife faced a bandit's gun, but as the ROPP prepared their final storm, a city's blood-soaked past whispered a haunting question: would the shadows ever release their grip? The Moscow skyline glitters like a broken mirror on a stormy May evening in 1995, the Moskva River's dark waters reflecting the neon glow of a city that never sleeps, the air thick with the scent of rain and exhaust. High above the streets, in a penthouse on Novy Arbat, the faint aroma of jasmine and expensive perfume lingers, a fragile illusion shattered by the glint of a Makarov pistol in the hands of 2 bandits, their tracksuits a garish blue, their voices a snarl of threats: "Tell your husband to pay, or you're dead." Elena Volkova, 35, the wife of a prominent Moscow businessman, sits bound to a velvet chair, her wrists raw from the rope, her eyes wide with terror as the bandits pace, their movements erratic, their eyes hollow with the desperation of men who've already crossed a line. The penthouse, once a sanctuary of luxury with its marble floors and crystal chandeliers, is now a prison, its windows sealed, its silence a ticking bomb as Elena's muffled sobs echo through the opulent space. What secret drove these bandits to target her? The ROPP agents wonder, their radios crackling outside the building, the rain falling in sheets around them. And would this storm be the last Moscow could endure? A city drowning in blood. Moscow in May 1995 is a city drowning in blood, its streets a labyrinth where the Soviet Union's collapse has unleashed a tidal wave of violence that refuses to relent. The air is heavy with the scent of rain and coal smoke, the ground slick with puddles that reflect the neon glow of a city that's lost its soul. The 1990s have turned Moscow into a war zone, where organized crime outpaces the law, bandits in tracksuits wield smuggled Makarovs, and the ROPP, Regional Organized Crime Department, fights a relentless battle against a plague of terror. Hostage crises have become a daily nightmare, each one a scar on the city's heart, and the ROPP's hostage rescue unit operates on a knife's edge, their shifts a grueling 24 hours on, 3 days off, each day bringing new horrors. Detective Alexei Ivanov still feels the weight of the Frunzenskaya embankment crisis, where a grocery store robbery turned into a deadly standoff, ending with 2 bandits dead and a sergeant lost, the mother's grief a haunting echo in his mind. How many more scars can Moscow bear? Alexei wonders, his Volga parked outside the penthouse, the rain drumming on the roof like a heartbeat. And what happens when the city finally breaks? The call came at 9:52 p.m., a panicked report from Elena's husband, Mikhail Volkov, a known figure in Moscow's business elite, his voice trembling as he described the break-in, the bandits' demands, the gun pressed to his wife's head. Mikhail had been a target before, his wealth a beacon for Moscow's criminal underbelly, but this time, the bandits struck while he was away, their plan a calculated strike to force payment through terror. The ROPP team arrives in a flurry of Volgas and unmarked vans, their radios crackling with urgency, their Makarovs drawn as they cordon off the building, the rain falling in sheets, the air thick with the scent of wet asphalt and dread. A crowd gathers below, their whispers a chorus of fear, their faces pale as they watch the penthouse windows, the flickering light inside a beacon of terror. Who are these bandits? Alexei wonders, his hands trembling as he adjusts his gear, the weight of the night a burden he can't shake. And how do we save her without losing more? The calm before the storm. Lieutenant Colonel Ponomarenko, a master negotiator with a surgeon's precision, takes the lead, his voice a calm anchor in the storm as he establishes contact through the penthouse's intercom, the rain drumming outside like a death knell. "This is Ponomarenko from the ROPP," he says, his tone steady, his words measured. "Let's talk. We can end this without more blood." But the bandits' response is a snarl, their voices raw with desperation as they demand payment, their Makarovs flashing, Elena's muffled sobs a haunting backdrop, "Get us the money, or she's dead." The air smells of desperation, the rain a relentless curtain as Ponomarenko persists, his voice a blend of calm and steel, buying time as the team prepares for a storm. Snipers take position on adjacent rooftops, their scopes trained on the penthouse windows, their breaths clouding in the frigid air as they wait for a clear shot, the rain blurring their vision. Will they negotiate? Alexei wonders, his hands steady as he checks his gear, the air thick with the scent of gun oil and dread. Or will this end in more blood? The negotiations drag on, a grueling dance of patience and rage, the bandits' demands growing more erratic, their voices a snarl of threats as they sense the net closing in. Ponomarenko's team sets up a perimeter, their command post a cramped van parked below, the air inside thick with the scent of sweat and stale coffee as they monitor the situation, their radios crackling with updates. The penthouse's layout, marble floors, wide windows, a single entrance, makes a stealth approach impossible, forcing a plan that relies on brute force, a distraction at the door, a breach through the windows, and a sniper as a last resort. The bandits' desperation peaks, their threats escalating as they demand a car, a clear escape, their Makarovs pressed to Elena's head, her sobs a desperate plea for life. How long can she hold on? Alexei wonders, his heart pounding as he watches the monitors, the grainy feed showing Elena's bound form, her eyes wide with terror. And what happens when their patience runs out? The storm of Novi Arbat. Ponomarenko's negotiations falter, the bandits' demands shifting to chaos, their voices a snarl of threats as they sense the endgame approaching. Volkov makes the call, we storm now. The rain falls in sheets, the air thick with the scent of wet asphalt and gunpowder as the team moves into position, their plan a mirror of past operations, a distraction at the door, a breach through the windows, and a sniper on the roof as a last resort. The door team slams a battering ram against the lock, their shouts echoing as they fire blanks, the noise a deafening roar designed to pull the bandits' focus, while the window team breaches, their alpine gear creaking as they swing in from the roof, their boots shattering the glass with a crash, the shards falling like rain as they storm the penthouse, their Makarovs drawn, their voices a roar of commands, drop your weapons. Now. The bandits fire back, their bullets wild, one striking the chandelier, the crystals shattering as Elena screams, her bound form a shield as the team advances. Two shots ring out, precise and deadly, the bandits' bodies crumpling to the marble floor, blood pooling on the polished surface, their Makarovs clattering uselessly beside them. Elena is freed, her wrists unbound, her sobs a desperate relief as she's pulled to safety, her body trembling but alive, her eyes haunted as she's rushed to an ambulance, the rain falling softly around her. Did we save her in time? Alexei wonders, his hands shaking as he helps her stand, the air thick with the scent of blood and gunpowder. And what scars will she carry from this night? Moscow's blood-soaked reflection. The aftermath is a storm of chaos, ambulances and television crews descending, the rain falling in sheets as the crowd swells, their whispers a chorus of shock, the neon glow of Novi Arbat casting shadows across the scene. The bandits' bodies are removed, their tracksuits torn, their faces pale in death, their identities a footnote in Moscow's endless war, two more casualties in a city that's lost count. Elena's husband, Mikhail, arrives, his face pale, his hands trembling as he embraces her, his wealth a curse that nearly cost him everything, his sobs a haunting echo in the night. Alexei watches, his face grim, the air thick with the scent of rain and regret as he reflects on the 1990s, a decade that rewrote Moscow's rules in blood and terror. Moscow in 1995 is a city caught between its past and future, its streets buzzing with the tentative hum of a new era, but the scars of the 1990s run deep, etched into the pavement, the walls, the hearts of its people. The air smells of coal smoke and wet pavement, the cold a constant ache, and the city's markets, once quiet with fear, stir back to life, but the echoes of violence linger, a reminder of a time when even a kitten sale could end in terror, when a grocery store on Frunzenskaya embankment became a battleground, when a student named Iskander turned a dorm into a fortress of rage. Ponomarenko, the master negotiator, retires after the kitten sale crisis, his departure a quiet exit from a war that never ends, his legacy a city that survived, but at what cost? How many more lives will Moscow lose to its shadows? Alexei wonders, the neon glow of Tverskaya a distant memory as he drives back to the ROPP office, the weight of the decade a burden he can't shake. And will the city ever find peace, or will the echoes of the 1990s haunt its streets forever?
Don't scroll past. Hit like and subscribe if you're ready for the next twisted story.